Hey everybody. So, it's been a long time since I made a video. So, we're just going to be hopping on Hades 2. And I don't really know what the video is going to be about. I have an idea. I'm going to turn down. I cannot talk while I hear stuff. So, I think I'm going to talk about which arcana I like. Maybe we'll talk about which aspects I like. Maybe we'll play a round after that. I don't really know. How loud is my controller when I'm not talking and I'm just using my controller? Doesn't seem too bad. Okay, anyway. So, a little bit about me. I'm okay at the game. I think you saw I have like 160 something nights. And where's the little scrimbobulus that tells you your history of runs? I think my highest fear might be like 20 or something, but usually I play with like 0 to 10 fear. Um, Highest fear, oh, only 13. So, yeah, I don't really try too hard at the game. I'm pretty happy just kicking back and relaxing at low fear. Um so take what I say with a grain of salt, but it's been working for me. And really I just want an excuse to talk about the game. So if you're looking for advice here, maybe look somewhere else for advice, like Halion. But whatever, let's just talk about stuff, shall we? So I've tinkered around with my arcana a bit over the years, or over the past couple months, more like, because I just got back into the game pretty recently before full release. So, for a while I had Unseen on. I had taken that off. I had Eternity on until just yesterday when I was watching a couple videos about people discussing Arcana, and the consensus is that Eternity isn't that good. So I'm gonna try playing without it, see how I feel, and maybe I'll leave it off. And I don't remember what I put on instead. Oh, I put on the Artificer. But anyway, let's just go through and just say how I feel about every Arcana, just for the lols. So, Sorceress, your Omega moves are 30% faster. I have this on, actually, you can see on the right, you can save sets of Arcana. So this is my Omega move set, and then this is my non-Omega set. So they're pretty close, but you can see when I am using Omega moves, I use the Sorceress. And when I'm not using Omega moves, I use the Huntress, and the Messenger, and Swift Runner. And I also don't use Artificer for attack runs, just because I don't know why. Just because I have to get the Huntress, and I wouldn't have enough to get the Huntress if I get the Artificer. I guess I could get rid of Messenger, Swift Runner. Those are both pretty random, but that's still not enough. So anyway, point being, I have these two saved if I'm using Omega moves. If I'm not, I don't really get too fancy with it. I don't like. I never change these two really. Like I don't do slight edits depending on which aspect I'm using. I just say if I'm using Omegas, which is for most weapons, I'll use this first set. And if I'm not, as in if I'm using the skull, which is my favorite weapon, so I am using the skull a lot. In that case, I never use Omegas, and I instead do a Huntress focused build. So, anyway, but for my Omega setup, I like the Huntress. I mean, the Sorceress. I love Wayward Son. I think I might outgrow it soon. I don't know. Because it is a lot of healing over the course of the run. But the thing is, like, if you're already not taking damage, this doesn't do anything. So, yeah, if you are always missing 5 health every time you exit a location, then this will heal up like 200 something health over the course of the run. But every time you're not missing 5 health, you're healing nothing at all, or you're healing less than 5. And likewise, maybe you've healed up 10 from the Wayward Sun over the course of the past two locations, but then in that next room, you eat Charon's meal, the fajita meal. That's my friend calls it. No, the Euro meal, card driving past. And in that case, if the fajita meal, if the Euro meal would have healed you to full regardless, then that 10 healing didn't matter anyway. You know? If the Euro was already healing more than the amount of health you were missing, then, the health you gained back from Wayward Sun didn't matter either way. You were going to be at full health after the Euro anyway. So that's why I'm thinking mathematically this seems pretty darn good, but when you are playing like I am, where I don't take that much damage except for no, because I do play quite aggressively. I think this card allows me to play as aggressively as I do because the way I play the game is I love getting a bunch of centaur hearts. Every time I'm in Ephira, I always take the double centaur hearts. And then I play with Death and Tula, almost always Tula. And it means I have like a million bajillion effective HP, and I can just slam myself into anything, turn my brain off on low fear, and there's like zero risk of me ever dying. That's how I play the game. And so Wayward Son, I'm usually getting a lot of value out of it because I'm usually never going into a room thinking, let me make sure I no hit this, right? I mean, who cares? It's zero heat. I mean, fear. So maybe I'll grow out of it. Maybe I won't. Huntress, I don't use it for the Omega focus things, obviously. Actually, I think this is my third saved one is for like mixed Omega and non-Omega, but I don't use that very often. So Huntress, usually it's really awesome if I'm using if I'm using basically the skull, then I really enjoy having it for the extra 50%. I there's a toggle you can do that turns off Omega moves. Like you can hold down the button and it won't do the Omega moves. It's somewhere in the settings. So when I'm playing with the skull or something like that, or maybe with the axe like Thanatos, um, then keep that I keep my Omega moves off. So that works for your attack and your special, but it doesn't turn off your Omega cast. So in order for me to proc Huntress when I'm playing with the axe or the skull, I use my Omega cast because my Omega attack and Omega special are disabled when I have that toggle on. Understand me? So I just enter a room, immediately Omega cast, and now boom, plus 50% damage. Eternity, so like I said, I used to play. I turned it off last night. I haven't played a game with it off, but I really don't know how I feel because I isn't there something else that makes everything move slower? Maybe not. But anyway, maybe I'm just thinking of Eternity. But Eternity, I feel like it just throws off my rhythm like a little bit, or it doesn't throw it off because I'm used to it. But I feel like if I played with it off, I would realize that my rhythm is suddenly much simpler. It's much clearer. So I'm gonna try playing with it off. But is it bad? I don't know. I pretty much always have it on. There's the moon. Oh, actually, if I remember, I'm gonna like scroll through my run history and maybe go to like the first time I ever beat Chronos and see what setup I was running at that time because I know I was running different stuff at that time. So let's see what I was running when I was newer at the game. I think I beat Chronos on like on night like 30 or something. And in Hades 1, I think I beat Hades on like night 35 or 40, or escape attempt 35 or 40. So, I'm not fantastically great, but hey, I'm pretty proud of that. Anyway, the moon, your hex charges up. I used to use Unseen, I used to use Eternity, so this used to be on pretty often, but now I don't, and I'm pretty happy to not have this on because 3 mana or magic every 1 second, I mean, that's not that much. Like, whenever I do an attack focused run where I'm not using like when I'm using it doing attack and special focused run instead of an Omega attack or Omega special, whether I have the moon on or not, I'm not getting my hex. And if I do get my hex, it's like once. Like I'll get one moon water per boss fight, which is not really that crazy. It's not worth worrying about the moon. So if I'm doing a non-Omega run, I just accept the fact that I'm not going to be getting my hexes. I could like try to drop my Omega cast and whatnot, but I'm playing a low fear. I don't feel like worrying about that, so I just don't. 30% extra damage to foes in your cast is goated. It's like boiling blood from Hades 1. I love it. Nothing really to say about it. It's just plus 30% damage. I will say I'm not excellent at using my cast. Like in Hades 1, I feel like every new player didn't really use their cast as much. Talking about Hades 1. But and I myself included in that. But I learned how to use it and now I'm pretty good at using my cast in Hades 1. In Hades 2, I use it on bosses and mini bosses, but I'm not always having it out, which I think is what people recommend. You should always have your cast out. And I wouldn't say I'm really good at that, but it's whatever. I get the plus 30% damage when it matters, like when I'm fighting a boss. Plus 40% max life and max mana. It's just really nice for the first either Ephira or what's it called? Erebus. It's nice for the first regions. And like I said, I'm a health maxer, so having plus 40 is cool. I think I would feel kind of naked if I didn't have it, you know? Like, I would feel so fragile in the beginning. But if I start, like, doing higher fear and I start taking the game more seriously, I could probably see myself losing this. But then again, once you get to even higher fear, then it becomes even more important, I imagine. So, I don't know. Your cast momentarily makes you impervious and move 70% faster. I just have this on because it's only one. And I don't even have it on for my Omega focused build. So I don't really notice this, but it's cool to have on, I guess. The Unseen, restore 10 mana every 1 second. Um, I used to play this on. It's a nice crutch for like newer players, but I don't know. I mean, obviously you wouldn't have it on for when you're using the Huntress with an attack and special focused build, because then it's like actively hurting you. And instead of just using one Omega cast at the beginning of an encounter, now you have to be constantly using it to constantly be depleting your magic. But even with an Omega focus build, 10 every 1 second is not worth 5. Maybe like 2 or 3 I could swing it, but for 5? Hell no. But I used to play with it. It was a good crutch back when I wasn't super confident in my ability to make a build that had good magic regen. This was definitely more useful. But now, if I need magic regen, I understand how to swing for Born Gain or Ionic Aether, whatever it's called for Zeus, or Lucid Gain. I know which ones are good. I know that Ares is bad. His gain. Actually, I'll go over my favorite gods too. We'll do that next. Maybe. Um, Knight, 50% chance in an Omega combo. I've been seeing people say this is good, but I even for something like aspect of Momos or Momus, Momus, not Momos. I'm thinking of Moros. Aspect of Momus. Even when I'm playing an aspect where you're frequently cycling your Omega attack and Omega special, I still don't find myself feeling Knight because I tried playing Momus with Knight and I felt like I was never getting crits. I feel like the I feel like the repeat shoots from aspect of Momus, I feel like they can't get crits. At least it didn't look like they could. Maybe it's just that 50% is so low that like that's why I wasn't seeing it. But I feel like only the first Omega attack or the first Omega special you do has a chance to be critical, and then the echoes that Momus does can't be critical. I don't know. Point being, I never felt like I was getting much value out of this. Maybe I'll revisit it at another time. Who knows? Swift Runner, 10% feels like basically nothing. passing through foes in your way, that's pretty neat. Like for Cerberus, sometimes you can get stuck on big chunky enemies, but I keep it on for my attack focus just because I had a free one grasp. But for my Omega focused, I don't have it on. Death, I have tried to use strength. Like I usually finish a run having not even used one Death Defiance. Like I'll beat Typhon and I'll still have like half of my health remaining and no Death Defiance is used. So I'll still be like 100 health away from even using a Death Defiance. So you would think I'm at the point where I could be using strength. But every time I try to experiment with strength, it doesn't really work out well. Like the couple of times I've tried it, I've died pretty early on. I don't know why. It's just like I said, I play like super aggressive. Like when I play Aspect of Medea, I don't take my hand off or my finger off of special. I just constantly am dashing and then I just spam attack with my with like the inside elbow of my thumb. But I'm always dashing with special and it gets me hit. But that's just how I play the game. I love having a bunch of Death Defiances. And strength just makes me feel scared to play like that. Because it's less effective HP. And then there's also the interaction where if you're low health and you get hit with a ginormous damage move, Death Defiance will absorb all the extra damage. Like if you're at 5 health and Typhon hits you for 70, then you'll lose 5 health, lose a Death Defiance, and that other 65 health, I mean, basically free. Like the Death Defiance just ate it. So that's also a factor when comparing Death Defiances to strength. But the other factor is for strength, it makes healing better. So it'll make Wayward Son better. It'll make the Euros better, etc., etc. It'll make Ares his 40 health healing boon, which I really like. It would make that theoretically better. But I don't know. I might have to try strength again. It used to be much better from what I hear, and now it's worse. Just minus 20%. I mean, minus 40% damage is pretty good, but plus 20%, I just don't notice. Like, I'm getting plus 50% from Origination, plus 50% from Huntress if I'm doing that kind of build, plus 30% from Cast, and then like plus 100% from Aphrodite or something if I have her on my attack and whatever. And then once you factor in all that, plus 20% to have in exchange for no safety net, just minus 40% damage, which is worse than Death Defiances, the effective HP you get from Death Defiances, I just can't justify it for myself. I feel like if it were like minus, honestly, minus 40% damage and then deal plus 30%, maybe I could swing that. Or I personally think it'd be cool if it were like minus 25% damage plus 40%, you know? Like Death Defiance should be defensive and safe, and then strength should be offensive. But right now it's not. 20% is not that much. So I don't feel like strength. What, 20% damage? That's strength? That's you have Hercules in the picture? Really? Plus 20% damage? I'm supposed to be freaking out? Oh, strength. Give me a break. Origination gives me plus 50%. So I don't really feel like it's strength. It's more like bulk, but less bulk than death. That's what they should call it. They shouldn't call it strength. They should call it bulk, but less bulk than you would get if you didn't use it. So that's just my thought. Maybe I'll change my mind sometime. Maybe I'll experiment more with strength. Maybe I'll like it. Blah, 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 blah. We'll see. Centaur, I never really noticed this. I mean, I know I told you that I love maximizing my max HP. Let me take a drink. My throat hurts. I'm talking too much. Sorry. Okay. I know I said that I love maximizing my max HP, and that's true, but plus 5 every 5 locations, so basically 1 per location, rounded down to the nearest 5. So the surface is like what, 50 encounters? So this is like approximately plus 50 max HP. I just eh, but it's free. Activate Arcana that uses between 1 and 5. I have that on both my Omega and my non-Omega builds. So if you're going to give it to me for free, oh well, that's pretty good. Origination. See, I didn't use origination at first, and I also never used privilege status is what it's called in Hades 1. Never used that either because I just didn't want to deal with the idea of setting curses, and I got to make sure I'm setting them, and if I'm not, then I'm not getting value, like blah blah, why would I want to do that? But after, everybody, whoever talks about this game ever, says, dude, you got to use origination. It's like the best. I started using it, and yeah, it's pretty good. On low fear, I don't really like it. It doesn't feel super game changing because I could do just fine without it because it's like I'm playing at like zero fear. But it's still nice to have, and it synergizes nicely with Aphrodite's gain and Aphrodite's cast because those make it really easy to apply weak. It makes Demeter more appealing because if you put like a low level Demeter attack or special on whatever is your secondary, so if you're mostly doing an attack focused build, you can put Demeter on your special and then just use it every once in a while, and it'll help you get origination, it'll get you halfway to origination, and it'll freeze it in place. So you don't even have to worry about palming it or getting it at a high rarity because you're not caring about the damage. You're just caring about inflicting freeze to freeze them and also get yourself halfway to origination. And it makes Ares, it makes up for his lack of, percentage damage on his attack and special because he also applies wounds, and wounds helps you get to origination. So it's cool. I think the person I most prefer with origination is Hestia, and maybe I'm wrong. I mean, I feel like Aphrodite might be better. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not an expert, but to me, Hestia is the easiest because she has so many things that inflict Scorch. So I can just like put Scorch on my cast and then drop my cast, and then boom, they're scorched. It's simple, but it dissipates pretty quickly. So I bet there are, people who are really true origination enjoyers. They would probably say other curses are better, but that's just me. The lovers, see, in Hades 1, I always use the acorn. Because throughout most of the game, I'm not really getting hit. It's only during boss fights. So being able to take 3 hits during a boss fight is great. And also in Hades 1, there's just no other keepsake that I really care about having more than acorn. Like for the final, like for fighting Hades, I mean. I'll take like the god keepsakes at the beginning, but once I'm done taking god keepsakes, trying to create my build, then acorn is just my default. And yet I don't use the lovers when it comes to Hades 2. And I don't really know why. I guess it's just the reason why I use it in Hades 1 is because there's nothing else that I really want more than it. Once I get my build going, I might as well just throw acorn on because what else would I throw on? But now it's 3 grasp. It's competing against, a lot of other things. And I just can't swing it. Like I'd have to give up what? Furies? I'm not gonna give that up. Huntress? I'm not gonna give that up. I could give up Artificer, but I just don't find myself caring. I already have my Death Defiances. If I were playing at super high heat or fear, sure. But I don't really need to use it. Enchantress and Boatman and Champions and Fates, they're all this group over here. I didn't used to use them at first, I don't think. But then I started. And having 10 rerolls is cool, but it's almost too much. Like, I find myself ending most runs having only used like 6 of them or something. or even less sometimes. But um, I just keep them all on anyway because altering boons is important. I would definitely always want to have champions on. Enchantress, maybe not as much. I never really well, I do alter location rewards, but I could definitely survive without it. And then extra money, I love extra money. If there's two things you need to know about me in Hades 1 and Hades 2, is that I love getting a bunch of max health and I love getting a bunch of money. So starting off with plus 30, it just means you can get your build going really fast, like when you're fighting Hecate or when you're fighting Prometheus, but mostly Hecate. Having that extra money allows you to get like an extra boon or two, maybe an extra centaur heart and an extra boon. It's it's just nice to have. Even for 5 grass, well, maybe not for 5. Maybe I should experiment with something else. But the thing is, what would I exchange it for? The reason why I have this bottom left corner all filled out is just because what else would I get? Excellence? Because if I get rid of all these, I'm getting 12 grass back. So what? I could get excellence. I don't need excellence. I don't need anything in the top right corner. I guess I could get lovers and messenger and then excellence in exchange for having no rerolls. I don't know. I just I feel like all the stuff besides the bottom left corner is good. Like all the stuff that I have highlighted besides the stuff in the bottom left is all I really need. So with that extra leftover 12 grasp, it's easiest to just put it in the bottom left. That's the way that I see it. And having rerolls is nice. Although I think my fourth saved one is for no rerolls for when I want to be at the Fate's whim. So I still take the money, and then I take excellence just because, and then I take huntress and sorceress. So it's like a mixed omega and non-omega build. It can be either. But I don't play with that one very often unless of course I'm doing Fate's whim, which is not that common for me. Okay. 3 chances to turn minor find into a random major find. I don't really ever use it, to be honest. Like ever. But I don't know. It seems useful. Now that I don't need ash or bones anymore, I should probably maybe start using this, but I just don't remember to. that's just that's just the fact. I don't think I would ever remember to use it. Excellence. See, I am definitely the kind of person who sees a common and like wants to re-roll away from it. Like I never want to take a white. It always has to be blue. Even though I know most people say that's not really important and you should, if the common is what you're looking for, then just take the common. It doesn't need to be rare. And that's fair, but I still like taking rares. But do I like it enough to spend 5 grasp on excellence? I don't know about that, man. So I never take it. Likewise, the queen. I have the queen active for my omega oriented build, but not for my non-omega oriented build. And to be honest, I don't go into a build looking for duos that heavily. Like if I'm doing an Aphrodite build, which I often am, then I'll try to get her duo with Poseidon, remote getaway, which makes it so her huge percentage boost doesn't require you to be close anymore. That's definitely a duo to have in my opinion, but plus 10%, I don't really it's already pretty easy to get a duo if you're looking for it without having the queen active. So all this really does is just make it so now I get flooded with like slightly more useless duos that I'm not looking for. But I'm not trying to like avoid it either. I would say it's just if I have it if my setup happens to activate the queen, then okay. And if it doesn't, that's fine too. I used to be worried about it. I used to make sure that I always had Divinity and the Queen, just because it felt wrong to not have them. But now I've stopped caring. Although I do still have Divinity on both, but Queen I don't care about anymore. Strength, I already talked about strength. I'll try using it more, but plus 20% damage is just not worth it to me. I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know what to tell you. Divinity, plus 50% chance to have epic blessings. It's nice to have, and it's easy to get. You can tell for both of my major setups. Oh, actually, oh yeah. Sorry, I got confused. I went to my third one and I was like, what? But yeah, for my main, my Omega focus build and my non-Omega focus build, I get my Divinity from this column, which seems to be pretty uncommon. It seems like most people either get it from the top or the left or the middle going across. I feel like I'm one of the few people to do it from the second column. But let's just look at it. Wayward Son. I already talked about why I like Wayward Son. And then Death and Persistence. These are all like tanky defensive, which I like. It allows me to play super recklessly. And then Boatman, I like money. And Champions, I mean, I just have these two active because I'm doing the bottom left. So I don't know what people aren't using in this column. Are people not using? I guess people aren't using Death. And that's another reason I don't use Strength. Is because if I'm not using Strength, I mean, if I'm not using Death, then now I'm no longer getting Divinity, which is just one more reason why Death works better for me than Strength does. I don't know what I would change. Maybe I would. Yeah, I don't know. I would have to like get rid of Messenger and instead get Sorceress, but that's on my attack focused setup, so I wouldn't even want Sorceress anyway. So yeah, just another reason why I don't use Strength is because I like having this column for Divinity. And then last, Judgment. I played with it like once and it was mid. I think the problem is like 30 Grasp, this setup that I have right now for an attack build, or this for an Omega build, these are both already good. Like, I'm not looking for any more. I'm not hurting for excellence. I'm not hurting for strength when I already have Death on. I'm not hurting for anything else. So the only way Judgment would be good is if having every single card active at the same time was super strong. But it's really not. Having 30 Grasp worth of cards active is like 90% as strong as having every card active is. So why would I want to make the beginning regions harder for myself? Why would I want to make the Hecate fight harder for myself when Judgment won't even make the Chronos fight much easier at all? It's just, the benefit is not there. Now let's take a peeky weeky real quick at my run history and let's scroll down. Which one is it? This one? No.
Let's see how fares my task.
How do I go faster? Okay, we're gonna be here a while scrolling down. Was it 45? No, 31? Okay, yeah, 31. I used to always use Moonbeam, by the way. I used to really love hexes, especially Moonwater. Basically, I'm almost positive I had Moonwater on for this build. Bloodthirst. Wait, Dark Side? I was using Dark Side. Okay, never mind then. But I used to always play with Moonbeam and hope that I would get Moonwater, because when I was first starting out, that was a huge crutch, and it was nice to have. But anyway, so I only had 24 Grasp. So let's see. Sorceress, Wayward Son, Huntress, Moon, Fury. So yeah, I had Moon on, which I don't do anymore. I had Death even back then, but it probably wasn't max level at the time. Centaur, Swift Runner. Unseen. So you see, I used to use the unseen. I don't anymore. Persistence, Enchantress, Artificer. So yeah, no origination. And I think I wasn't getting the full 10 whatchamacallits rerolls. But that's because I only had 24 grasp. But yeah, back then I played with unseen and I didn't play with origination, is basically what you need to know. We can actually look at the stats. Do
Trivial
they tell
work
you
so
like
far.
which arcana you use the most? Okay, maybe not. But we can look at I guess we'll just take a peek over here. I'm not gonna do like an in-depth view of everything, but um how do you go down? Oh, you just press down. Aspect of Sapai and Hell and Shiva. It's not just because they're hidden aspect, it's just that I don't really care for any of them, to be honest. Shiva, if I'm using the coat, I'm gonna use Selene or Nyx. For Hell, I love the skull, but I'm only gonna be using Mel or Medea. And then for the torches, Sapai isn't bad, but I would I would rather use Moros or Eos. So I just feel like all the hidden or a lot of the hidden aspects are worse than the non-hidden aspects, for me at least. Artemis is also pretty awkward for me to use. Morrigan is cool. I'm just not good at it, but I would like to get good at it. I like the blood theme. When I played Mortal Kombat 11, I mained Scarlet, mained in quotes. I never really played multiplayer. I just played against bots. But I played as Scarlet because she's pretty and she's cool and she has blood. And she has like a blood scythe. So Morgan is like that same kind of edgy blood theming, which I think is really cool. Anubis I like just because I've only used it 4 times. I do like it. That's just it's low because it's a hidden aspect, so I haven't had it as long as the other ones. But I do like Anubis. Although I find myself using other stabs more often, I would say. Like which ones? Momus, yeah. And then I guess I used the default one, but that was mostly when I first started. But yeah, basically, I would always rather use Momus than any of the other staves, probably. But I still do like Anubis. And Cersei. I don't use Cersei much either. I don't know. I just casts. I I know that Cersei's good. Trust me, I know that Cersei's good. And I've done a few runs with it. I've done well. I see. I got 25-minute clear on the surface with apparently zero fear. But meh, just meh. Um, I don't like the axe, and I don't even really like its aspects either. The only reason I have a lot in axe is because it's a non-aspect. So, I was using it whenever it would give me grave thirst on the axe when I was first starting out. I couldn't use any of the aspects. I had to use regular moonstone axe. That's the only reason I've used it 12 times. But now I never use it. In fact, you can see I've never gotten a clear with the moonstone axe like aspect of Melanoy. That's actually kind of funny, but I just never use it now. I don't like the axe, and I especially don't like the default axe. But let's go a little bit lower. I don't Nurgle. I wanted to like it. It seems like this game's version of the aspect of Arthur from Hades 1, where it's like big and chunky, and it also has lifesteal, which is really cool. I love lifesteal in games, but the aspect Nurgle just feels a little bit weird and clunky. Um, and then there's also the aspect of Thanatos. I like it. If I'm using the axe, I'm probably using the aspect of Thanatos. And aspect of Charon is also cool, but I use it a little bit less than Thanatos, as you can see. I like both, but I don't know. The attack speed of Thanatos just feels cool. And actually, the highest fear I've ever been was on Thanatos, apparently, tied with Selene. But it's only 13, so that's not saying much. But point being, whenever I play Thanatos, I enjoy it, but I just spam my buttons. Why did my microphone just look like it was peaking? Sorry, I guess. Anyway, when I play Thanatos, I spam the buttons. Maybe I shouldn't, but I do. And when I'm spamming the buttons, I see that I find that I do the last big swing in the attack sequence, and then it always gets me hit. Like I wish there was like a hammer that was like when you're using the axe, it removes the big slam from the end of your attack sequence, and in exchange, it gives you like plus 20% attack speed. I would take that every time I saw it, and I would just do like those fast Thanatos shung 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 slashes, and never do the big slam because every time I do the big slam, it just feels so clunky, and I always get it. So that's why I don't like the axe. As for the knives, I like Aspect of Pan. That's the one I use the most for the knives. Um, I don't use Morgan very much, but I think it's cool. I don't use Millenoi anymore ever since I got Pan. And even Pan, I don't use very often. I guess I have 9 clears, or 9 times used, so I guess I use it decently enough, but it's been a while since I used Pan. And then there's Millenoi, and then what's the other knife? Oh yeah, Artemis. Mid. Now for the skull. I love the skull. Um, you can see I've gotten the most clears from Aspect of Medea by a pretty wide margin actually. I have 8. And it looks like the second highest is 5 for the Millenoi skull, for Pan, for Momus, Thanatos. Yeah. So everything else is tied in second place for 5. Whereas I have 8 with Aspect of Medea. I love Aspect of Medea. And it's also my fastest clear time for Surface and Underworld by a decent margin. Like a huge margin, actually, I would say, not just decent. I just love Medea. I love getting Aphrodite on Medea and just melting everything. But it's not just Medea. You can see the Argent Skull Millenoi. I also have 5 clears with that. And I have pretty good times too, especially on the surface. So, and that's the highest fear I ever used to beat the surface, is what it looks like. I think that's what the icon means. So I beat the surface with 13 fear with Millenoi Skull. It's a slightly different play styles depending on if I'm doing Medea or Millenoi. If I'm doing Millenoi, then I can be a little bit more distant, and I'll be more likely to take Wide Grin for one, but I'll also be more likely to take Zeus and do a blitz attack. Whereas if I'm doing Aspect of Medea, I'm almost always doing Aphrodite attack. So in that way, I guess Millenoi Skull is more versatile, or at least I have more fun doing more different types of runs with it. Whereas Medea, I like, I guess, a less varied type of run. But I'm sure Medea is plenty varied, or like plenty, what's the word? Starts with the V. Uh, Versatile. There we go. I'm sure that Aspect of Medea is plenty versatile, but I just haven't gotten tired of using Aphrodite on attack with Medea yet. I still love it. Um, so, but when I use Millenoi Skull, I instead, I do still use Aphrodite sometimes, but sometimes I'll use Blitz attack, and I definitely want the one that makes your skulls return to you automatically. It's really nice quality of life. And then Wide Grin can also be nice because you can just like with Aspect of Millenoi Skull, you can just stand right up against a boss and then just spam attack and melt things. And it's less risky than Medea and a bit more versatile, I would say, for me at least. So I love it. I just love the skull. I love it. And I guess we'll talk about the other skulls too. Hell, um, what is hell again? Oh yeah, that's the one where you have to use your Omega special and then it makes your attack fire automatically, or not automatically, but it like turns it into an automatic weapon. Um, it's neat. I've used it one single time, so but it's neat, I guess. Uh, I would rather be using Melinui or Medea for the skull. It's just the short and curlies of it. I don't know why that's what came to mind. Kids at home, don't say short and curlies in front of your parents. You'll get in trouble. Anyway, and then for aspect of Penelope, what's her name? Persephone. I've used it 5 times, and it's pretty cool. But again, I'd rather use Medea. I'd rather use Melinui. I I I also find it's a little awkward to figure out when it makes my Omega special better, like longer. Like I feel like I'll do damage with an Olympian, but then Persephone won't turn on, and my attack, my Omega special will still be slow or short. I'm getting a little tongue tied, but you know what I mean. Maybe that's just me though. Maybe I'm just stupid. And then I think the only one I haven't talked about now is the coat. I really like the coat. When I first unlocked it, I think it was like like when I was first starting to get consistent clears, I think the coat was my favorite. Like when I was kind of new to the game, but I had still gotten a few victories at that point, but I hadn't yet gotten very far in the surface at all. I'd only been doing well underground or in the underworld. Around that time is when I really enjoyed the coat, and I enjoy aspect of Nyx and Selene, but I would say I preferred Nyx more. But to be truthful, neither of them really feel like that crazy different from the base coat. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm not sure if the aspect of Nyx, when it does, we'll just leave for now because let me show you. So as you can see, I have Nyx on right now. So boom, and then so it you can see it's shooting the extras behind him, but those aren't doing extra damage to him. So I'm pretty sure this Nyx, whatever it's called, Nightbreaker or something, I don't think it makes your single target any better, does it? And the way I almost always use the coat is I spam special. So the reason I enjoy Ladi Flippin' the coat, I enjoy using it as just pure special spam. And so it's nice to have Nyx because it means that I can just dash, boom. Now I've used 30 magic, and now my Huntress is on. That's what it's called, right? Yeah. So I like Nyx because it's an easy way to get Huntress online. But I don't think the I guess the extra little Sneebles, in case you don't know what I'm talking about, Night Spawn, your attack and special also split in two that deal reduced damage. I guess it's better for crowds, but it's not any better against single target boss type fights. And then for Selene, they take extra damage from Omega moves. Again, back when I was more heavy on the coat, I actually used to primarily use the Omega special. That was the main way I would use it. I just enjoyed the Omega special quite a bit. So if I were to use Selene more often, it would probably be with Omega specials. Probably not the Omega attack. If I were trying to do an Omega attack build, I'd probably do Shiva, but to be truthful, I don't like the Omega attack that much. Or not that I don't like it, it's just I never find myself reaching for it. But yeah. What was I talking about? Whatever. You get my point. And then Aspen of Melinui, I never use it anymore. But let's see what I have on right now. So right now for my skull, the last one I used was Medea, as you could probably tell from all my glazing. But I also use Millennium a lot. And here, so let me show you what I'm talking about. So no, if I hold it now, it'll make me use this. But then if I press my left trigger, maybe the button's different for you, but if I press my left trigger, now I can just hold the button and always sprint. So if I just do this and then spam attack, it's sometimes you fly off course, but it works well enough for me. Because the way that Halion recommends you to use this aspect is to like slide your finger from the special to the attack. But I have my special on X and then my attack on A. So I have to like slide my thumb down. I don't know. It's just a bit awkward for me. But who knows? Maybe I could eventually learn to do that. But like I said, I just play it low fear. So doing the always dashing setup works just fine for me on Medea. And it's why my time with it is so fast relative to all my other aspects. Is because I play it so aggressively. Always dashing like this. Or not dashing, but specialing. You know what I mean. Now I know I said I don't like Nurgle, but I did have it equipped actually. But it's just really clunky, and I like the clunkiness, or I'm fine with the clunkiness of the aspect of Arthur in Hades 1, but clunkiness in this game just feels harder to deal with. I really like being fast, which is why I like torches. You know, you can dash while using them. I like the staff because you can use it from a distance and then go back to running around. Wait, why does that take so long to charge up? Wait, is it because
Just breathe.
No, I do have this on. Why does this feel like it takes so dang long? Am I stupid? Anyway, what was I talking about? Whatever. So for the torches, I have Eos right now, but I also use Moros a pretty good amount. Actually, wasn't my first victory with Moros? I'm pretty sure, if you remember, I'm pretty sure it was. Or if it was at least with, maybe it was with Malinui, but it was with the torches, I'm pretty sure. But I think it was Moros or Malinui. Anyway, but I've come around to Eos quite a bit. I like Eos because when you have Poseidon on your special, like you just hit with your special so many times that you just like splash everywhere. It's really fun. I enjoy Eos for how many hits you can be getting across the entire room constantly. So that's fun. Okay, I don't know why I had Aspect of Millennium equipped. I assure you I was not using it. I'd say most of the time I have Pan or Morgan on. I used to use Pan more often, not as much anymore. I'd never really used the knives in general, to be honest. And then with the staff, I don't use Cersei much. I use Anubis sometimes. It's usually Momus. And I would say I whenever I use the staff, I'm definitely more of an Omega attack. And I need to get better at also using the special, especially the Omega special. I don't find myself using it as much, but
I wish.
now that I've been getting into Aspect and Momus more, I do. I'm better at using the Omega special, but I used to be kind of bad at it. My throat hurts from talking so damn much. Let's see, let's see. I guess I can talk about. I talked about which arcana I use, which aspect I use. Let's look at keepsakes real quick. Obviously, I use the god keepsakes. My most used one is Luckier Tooth, I'm pretty sure. Just because it's like this game's version of the acorn for me. If I don't know what else to put on, I'll just put on Luckier Tooth, and now I have even more Death Defiance. But I've started experimenting with Experimental Hammer, or not really started. I've been doing it for a decent while. If I'm playing an aspect that has a lot of good hammers, like if I'm not doing a cast build, first of all, then I'll go with experimental hammer. And chaos is really fun. I use a chaos keepsake pretty often too nowadays as my default pick if nothing else jumps out at me. Um, Moonbeam used to be my main, not so much anymore. But if I get Moonwater, then I'll put on Moonbeam for one region, just so I can make Moonwater really good. Um, Never use White Antler. Like 30 max HP is just crazy, crazy low. Evil Eye can be nice. Let me get another drink of water. Evil Eye was nice back when I was trying to beat Typhon. But now I just don't even think about who I last died to because I'm just doing casual runs at low fear. So I'm not worried about who I died to. If anything, I'll take Black and Fleece from Medea. If I'm doing an Omega move run, then plus 40% damage is good. And like I said, I play really, really recklessly, so I pretty much get Black and Fleece. I pretty much take 250 damage by like halfway through the second region. So I can always have this active for like the second half of a run. Let's see. Anything else that's worth talking about? Mm, nah, not really. I think a lot of people see Knuckle Bones as their default boon to take when they don't know what else to take. But I don't really. I mean, minus 10% damage is pretty good, and making them lose 15% HP is okay, but I'm playing a low fear, so I would rather gamble on Hammer or Chaos. I'd rather gamble than take the safe choice of Knuckle Bones. If I were playing a higher fear, maybe that would change. Probably would. Um, so real quick, I'll go over how I feel about each god, and then, or specifically the Olympians, and then after that, I guess we'll do a run. Why not? We'll do a run. So Zeus, I like Zeus. Maybe I should bring up a tier list. Should I? Um, I'm thinking. I'm thinking. Should I bring up a tier list? But I don't have to find one. I don't know. Fine. Okay, wait. Is this gonna leak everything? No, it's still showing Hades 2. Okay, let me open up a private window so you don't see all my stuff I have open or whatever. Hades 2 God tier list. Or no, Olympian tier list. Sorry, am I typing in your ear? I'm very sorry about that. Hades 2 Gods tier list. Bro, why is it not bringing up tier maker? There we go. Tier maker was like the 5th result. You're trolling me right now. Okay, does this one have Ares? Yes, it does. Okay, go to template. There we go. All right. Display capture. We'll move that above game capture. Here we go, buddy. Wait. Oh, this is an entire character list. But whatever. Maybe I should just do character list. Sure. But I probably won't have much to say about most of them. Also, I think this might be Narcissus. Anyway, Aphrodite, S tier. I love Aphrodite. Like I said, I always put her on Medea, and put her on what's it called? Thanatos. Put her on Thanatos. Let's zoom in a little bit. Yeah, I love Aphrodite. I love Weak. I love the cast and the gain applying Weak. I like them both. I like her duo with Poseidon. I just really like her. She fits my hyper aggressive playstyle. Apollo, I love. He's my favorite like character. I guess I'm rating them from a gameplay perspective mostly, at least the Olympians. But if we're talking about character perspective, Apollo is one of my favorites because I love the sun. I've always loved like sun imagery. Like my favorite tower in Bloons Star Defense 6 is the Sun Temple and just that entire path of the Super Monkey. I just don't know, like sun imagery is so cool. The power of the sun is so fascinating in like media. So for that reason, Apollo is goaded. And he's also very pretty. And I like that he's like a percentage based god. And I like that he makes your like attacks and stuff bigger. I think that's a really cool gimmick for him to have. And for like Anubis to have an Apollo attack on Anubis, it makes your like big sand circle so big. So yeah, I'm always happy to take Apollo. But how do I rank how do I rank them? I like taking Aphrodite more in a run. Well, is that even true? It depends on what aspect I'm using. We're just gonna put Apollo above him, and that's final. Arachne, I wish they did more with the character, but I still like her. I haven't completely finished her epilogue, but I got spoiled on it a little bit, and it sounds like she doesn't get turned back into a person, which sucks. But whatever. She's still cool. Ares, he's also my goat. Ares was my favorite character, for the first half of me playing Hades 1, Ares was my favorite. I really liked Doom. I thought it was cool, even if it wasn't that good. I like Doom a lot. I like stacking up a big Doom and then having it boom chunk an enemy. That was always fun to me. And the one boon that he can give you in Hades 1 where you can stack up Doom by hitting them again and again to stack it up a little bit higher each time. That was also really fun. So I've always liked Ares, but for the second half of me playing Hades 2, my favorite character switched to Artemis. And now I play with Artemis in pretty much every run in Hades 1 now. Like aspect of Rama with Artemis on attack might be like my go-to build. But Ares still has a special place in my heart. And I think that the plasma system, it could be a little bit better, like a little bit stronger, but it's still cool in Hades 2. Um the swords that fall from the sky are bad. um Wound is pretty neat. I like how it's like the inverse of Doom, where it happens instantly and then there's a cooldown. Instead of it being wait for the cooldown and then Doom strikes. I think I like the wound system more, perhaps. Um, yeah, I like Ares. Oh, but it's his like secondary boons that I really love. Like the one that heals you on hit whenever you're below 40 health. I love that one. And the one that makes you deal more damage, like deal plus 200% damage more often depending on how low your health is. I really like that too. A chance to deal plus 200% damage to enemies with wound. I also really like that. His secondary boons, those are the ones that I like the most. But yeah, I really like Ares. I'll give him S tier. Maybe he gets bumped down to high A. We'll see. Artemis, the song that plays whenever she's around is like so beautiful. And Artemis, she's my favorite from Hades 1, and I really love her role in Hades 2. So if we're talking about characters, if we're talking about characters, I don't know, is she better than Apollo though? Hades 1 Artemis is better than Hades 2 Apollo for me, I would say. But is Hades 2 Artemis better? No. No, she's not. No, she's not. Because you barely ever see her. So it would feel wrong to put her higher than these two. Because you just never really see her. She feels rarer than any of the other like NPCs you encounter. Even rarer than Dionysus and stuff. I don't know why she's so rare. But I still really, really love her. It's just her gameplay impact is pretty small. The boons that she gives you, I feel like don't really change. Like they don't really mix things up that much. Like you can get a like support fire is pretty low damage. And then all the other ones are just like slightly higher crit chances for slightly different scenarios. I don't know. Athena, she looks kind of weird, but also cool. No, I can't just keep giving everybody S tier. She's A tier. A for Athena. I guess all of these have started with A so far, but she gets A for Athena. No, she gets B for Athena. For Bethina. Because she's kind of rare. She's a jerk to Arachne. The one where she makes you prime, if she didn't have the boon where she makes you prime magic to give you a regenerating death defiance, if she didn't have that, she would probably be in C. But because she has that, I'll put her in B. But meh. Cerberus, he's a good boy. And being able to pet him in the full release of the game is definitely cool. As a boss fight, uh, his rivals fight is okay. I don't really like most of the rivals fights that much though. Compared to Extreme Measures in Hades 1, I feel like rivals, it just makes all the fights take longer and be slower. So, yeah, Cerberus, he's still a good boy. He can be right there. Chaos, I don't find myself thinking about Chaos as much compared to in Hades 1. But they're still a really cool character. Their design is fire. Chaos is my goat. Better than Ares? But they're so rare though. Well, they're not so rare, but rarely do I find myself thinking about them and like gunning for them in a run. You know what I mean? Whereas in Hades 1, it felt like chaos frequently completely changed the course of a run, and I don't find that being the case as much in Hades 2. Um, so I'll put you below Ares. Sorry. Charon, I love buying stuff. I love getting a bunch of money. I love Charon's design. I low-key have a crush on him. Low-key. Um, yeah. Yeah, I love buying things. I love having a bunch of money. I like Charon a lot. Kronos, back when Kronos was a bad guy, he's so freaking fire. Now that he's a good guy, he's a little bit lamer. Not to get into the ending of the game too much, but you know, we all know it's not fantastic. So Kronos, but he's still a really cool villain, and I also have a little bit of crush on him. I know. We'll put him there. Yeah, I like that. Cersei, nah, I don't really care for her aspect that much. I don't find her changing the course of my run on the surface very often. She's usually just a pretty small boost. I like the way that her and Melinoi interact. It's cute. She's like a mom or something. I like her personality. She's a solid B. Better than Athena, I would say. Demeter? Demeter seems to really like Melinoi. Like she was kind of cold to Zagreus, but she really likes Melinoi, and I think that's sweet. Demeter was one of my least favorite, not characters, but boon givers in Hades 1. I just chill wasn't that exciting. Her and Dionysus were both like pretty mid to me. But in Hades 2, she definitely has more of a niche. Freeze is cool and it's good for origination, like I was talking about earlier in the video. Um, yeah. But I'm only gonna put her in high B actually. And maybe I'm wrong. This is just my personal opinion. I'm not saying that Demeter is bad or mid. Just for my playstyle, I don't often find myself taking her. Dionysus, talk about crushes. The first time I saw his sprite, it really made me laugh because he needs to put that thing away. Like it was literally staring directly at me under that leopard print. You can't see it. It cuts off from it for his torso in this picture, but his thing, yeah. Anyway, Dionysus, he's my goat. He's just so chill, but the boons that he gives you, eh. Worry free is a cool gimmick. I like worry free. I like that it exists. And I like the grape soda. That's pretty like it's a cute idea. Except I thought that when you got the grape soda, it like give you plus 100 power for like a certain amount of time, and I thought it was really good. But then I read it closer, and it only gives you plus 100 power one time, and then you have to wait to get it again, which makes it pretty mid, I think. But I don't know. I like Dionysus. He's a cool character, so I'm gonna put him in A. If we're talking strictly about boons, probably like a C. But I'm putting him up here. Um, what's this girl's name? Not Echo, not Dusa. What's her freaking name? Dora. Um, I don't know. She's always yapping at you whenever you just died. I think the fact that I always see her right after dying in a run makes me like pissed off at her. Except I guess now I almost always win. So now I see her after winning a run, which should make me like her, but I don't dislike her. I might put her in upper C tier if I'm being honest, but she has some funny lines. She has some funny lines. Quite a few funny lines. I think out of everybody in the game, I giggle at her the most. Maybe I giggle at Eris more. We'll get to Eris. Dusa, yeah, low B, very low B, I would say. Echo, she's so sweet. And when she echoes what you say, it's cool. It's like cool storytelling. Like sometimes it's kind of obvious that Malinois, like the writers will make Malinois say something specifically so Echo can repeat it. So I sometimes feel like Malinois is forcing herself to talk weird so that Echo has something to repeat that makes sense. But that's fine. Oh, actually, Eris is up next. But anyway, Echo, I like Echo. I like her boons. Out of all like the NPCs, like Artemis and Athena and Dionysus and Circe, I would say Echo is one of the best ones with the best boons that I get the most excited about receiving. Like Pom 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 is really neat. The one that reveals your death defiances was better when I was newer at the game. Yeah, I really like Echo. Eris, people hate Eris. I'm putting her. I fear I'm putting her at the top. I love the flirtiness she has with Malinois. I do ship her and Malinois. Yes, I do. I just love her attitude. She makes me laugh. I love her voice actress. Her voice actress it's probably the best vocal performance in the game, I think. Maybe Artemis, like her singing and just in general. I think the voice actress for Artemis does a really great job. But and Kronos does a great job too. But Eris, her voice actress is just so perfect. And her personality. I just love Eris. She's great. And her boss fight too is very fun. Oh, and when I turned on Rivals and I saw her bust out the aspect of Lucifer, I was like, bro, that's so genius. Um, however, I will say her Rivals fight, I think I prefer her regular fight to her Rivals fight. Like the sweeping Lucifer strike is a little annoying, but it's mostly just that she spends so much time in the air in her Rivals fight that annoys me. Because even in a regular fight, I guess she does spend a lot of time in the air, but it's not as bad. I think it's easier to breeze past regular Eris, whereas Rivals Eris, you can't even hit her half the time. But that's not her fault. She's still my Pookie. And that problem Loki applies to every single Rivals fight. They all are just a little bit too long and slow paced. But yeah, Eris, my queen. Hades was one of my favorite characters in Hades 1. I love Hades. Had a crush on him too. Um, did I say that I have a crush on Artemis? I do as well. I don't only have a crush on the boys, I swear. Not really on Aphrodite though. I respect her, but just because she's naked, I don't know. That's not enough for me. There, I said it. Crush on Cronus. A little bit of one on Chaos too. Anyway, but not really a crush on Hades 2 Hades. But seeing him all chained up, man, I could not wait for version 1 to drop to be able to see him not be a pathetic little kitten all chained up. So, I don't know. He's not better. Is he better than Charon though? The boons that he gives you are pretty good. They're better than most of the NPCs, I would say, but not as good as Echo. Um, no, no. He can be a top of A, but he's not quite as interesting of a character as he was in Hades 1, which is fine. It's not his game anymore. I mean, it's still named after him, but you know. Um, Hecate, don't have a crush on her actually. Although when you take a bath with her and you get to see her under the mask and the hat, she is pretty. But yeah, and her rivals fight is so annoying and so slow. Yeah, but I still like Hecate. Hephaestus, he's cool. I don't find myself enjoying the blast focused builds very much though. Yeah, I like the fact that he calls you witchy, but I don't really use Hephaestus that often. Hera, she's pretty fire. Is she S tier as a character? I like it. She can be like she can be like sassy and like a little scary. Like in this game, Demeter is really nice to Melanoi, so Hera kind of like Hera is like what Demeter in Hades 1 was, where she's low-key a little threatening, and she's like telling Melanoi to like sit up straight and stuff. And when you give her gifts, she'll be like, "This, you're trying to win my favor, and like I spit on you." Okay, maybe she doesn't say that, but yeah, I like that she can be sassy. I like her character design. I like her boons too. I like her interaction with Zeus, the ransom, but she's not as good as Kronos. Let's put Kronos above Chaos, to be honest with you. Hera, are you S tier though? No, no, I can't crowd S tier that much. I really do like Hera though. Hercules, meh. It's cool that he has like a lion, like a fursuit. Bro thinks he's Five Nights at Freddy's. But besides that, Hercules, no, his personality is just kind of boring. He's just so serious. I think maybe he's supposed to be like Hades 2's take on Thanatos, where Thanatos will occasionally show up and be like kind of cold and distant, and like you have to both rush to kill enemies faster than the other. You know what I mean? I feel like Hercules is kind of that, but Thanatos has like depth to him and he has a soft side. He's not a jerk. He's just like quiet and reserved a little bit. Whereas Hercules is meh. But it is fun to see Melanoi and Hercules talk because on one hand they're quite different, but on another hand they're kind of similar. They're both out here like killing things on the surface. They both are like powerful and violent just in different ways. And they're both working for the gods just in different ways. You know, Hercules sees it in not as favorable of a way as Melanoi sees it. So yeah, that those are pretty cool parallels, but he's still a C tier. Hermes, I feel like his boons aren't that crazy, and I had a bigger crush on him in Hades 1 than I do in Hades 2. But I definitely like Hermes. Getting plus attack speed from Hermes when you're doing Thanatos, that's always fun. What else does Hermes do? Eh, meh. I'll put him right there, I guess. Hestia? Okay, wait, how close are we to done? Okay, we're getting there, we're getting there. Okay, so Hestia, I like Scorch. I like her design. Her sprint is very bad, but that's fine. I like her voice actress, but she's not better than Hera. But yeah, I like Hestia. I guess there's not really much to say about it. She's just good. Um, Sleepy guy, Hypnos, they fumbled him so freaking hard. Like people have always said, like the way that we can after you beat the game defeat Kronos, the roguelike loop needs to continue going. You still need to be able to fight him, otherwise you can't play the game anymore after you beat it. So people's theory was that they would like trap Kronos, like Hypnos would trap Kronos in a nightmare, and then Malinoi would go in the nightmare to fight him, just to like keep him on his toes or whatever, which I think is a pretty based idea. And they didn't go with it. So instead, he is just like a Chekhov's gun that when he goes off, he like jams and then gets thrown away. So yeah, they fumbled him. He's way better than Hades one. Icarus, I also ship Icarus and Melanie a little bit. What did I just say? Melanie? I ship him and Malinoi a little bit. I feel like it's like the ship you're supposed to be shipping. Maybe actually, I know. I think Nemesis is the one you're supposed to be shipping, but Icarus is also pretty high up there. Like they want you to think him and Malinoi are like cute together, and I do. I do. I like Icarus. He's sweet. He has wings. He's very boyish, and he's one of the better NPC like boon givers, like Cersei and Dionysus, and like I already talked about. I'd say he's like I guess mid tier to be honest, but he yeah actually he's pretty mid to be honest. I can't think of anything Icarus gives me that I really find myself getting excited about. But whatever. He's still cool as a character. I like him more than Cersei, yeah, I guess. But not better than Hephaestus. Okay, Medea. Oh my goodness. Talk about having a crush. She's my number one crush in the whole game. She's so cool. She's so pretty. The way she talks too. Like, she's just like she likes making poisons and like getting revenge on people and like being kind of evil, but not really evil. I love that vibe from her. And she also has the boob window. Can't forget that. And my favorite aspect is her aspect, and one of my favorite keepsakes is her keepsake. So I just love her. Is she better than Eris? Oh, wow, that's hard. Dang, that's hard. But Eris throws garbage on the floor with a little doing sound effect. Oh, and Medea, you only ever see her in the surface. Whereas Eris gets a boss fight. But Medea's so pretty. No, Eris has to be above Medea. But I love Medea. I love Medea. Nobody forget that, okay? Linoi, really cool as a main character. I really like her vibe. I like playing as a girl. I like playing as like a sister of Zagreus, like the different vibe you can the skeleton arm too is really sick. One thing I wish is that you could like after you beat the game or something and like befriend Arachne, she'll let you put on her outfits like as cosmetics. Because I would love wearing the onyx dress or like any of the other dresses besides just always wearing the orange one unless you happen to get Arachne on the in the underworld, I wish I could wear her outfits all the time. But anyway, I like Malinoi. I like how at first she seems to be kind of like overly serious, which is fair because she's been through a lot of tragedy and she didn't really get like a real childhood. But she seems overly serious. But then the more you play the game, there are plenty of like small little bits of dialogue where you can see she has like a silly, sweet side. She's definitely very sweet and very sincere, which I like. Like in her dialogue with Icarus, she's very sincere. With Nemesis, she's like almost frustratingly optimistic and stuff, which pisses Nemesis off. Um, yeah, I like how genuine, sincere she is without being boring. But it's hard for me to rank her as a main character. She's great, but I don't really think about her that much because I'm playing as her. So I focus more on like the external characters rather than Malinui. So um, I'll do that. She's losing points for being the playable character, but she's also good at being the playable character. It's just I don't know. I find myself I find myself getting more excited about the characters that I can actually see and interact with and talk to rather than speak through like I do with Malinui. You know what I mean? Moros, he's a little bit boring. I did romance him, but he's a little bit boring. But I like his voice actor. He's purty. Okay, side note, why is Tier Maker so bad? Like, look at that. Like, what? Every time I watch somebody make a tier list, I always take note of when I see them try to drag stuff around and they're like fiddling with it, trying to get stuff in the right spot. Like, why is Tier Maker still so bad? Like, how's that? Like, what is going on, bro? How is that to the right of Cersei? You're smoking crack right now. Anyway, rant over. Did anybody else notice that whenever you watch tier list, do you notice, or whenever you make your own tier list, do you notice how bad it is at detecting where your cursor is? Is that just me? Anyway, he's better than. Yeah, he's right there. He's right there. He's better than Athena. Not as good as Cersei, I would say. Nemesis. Down, 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 down. I do like Nemesis. Her design is fire. So she's like this game's version of Meg. Um, and I like the fact that she's like trying to do the same job that Malinui's doing, but she's worse at it, and that like kind of pisses her off. I think that's like a really cool character arc. And the way that she like tries to doesn't deny herself like pleasure and happiness because it's her job to punish people who get too much of it. But then she kind of works through that with Malinui a bit. I think she's cool. I like her. Better than Cerberus. Better than Arachne, I'd say. Better than Hestia. I'll put her right next to Malinui. Odysseus, so he's like Achilles. He's like this game's version of Achilles, and I like that about him. But he's not as interesting as Achilles, I would say. I don't like him more than Hephaestus. I don't like him more than Cersei, even. I like him more than Momus. Yeah. Polyphemus, I like him. I like his banter with Malinui. I like that he has his little sheepies. His boss fight is pretty fun. But he's not better than Hades. No, he is better than Hades. Not better than Hades 1 Hades, but he's better than Hades 2 Hades. He's pretty close, though, but yeah, but he's not better than Hestia. Yeah, I'd say he goes right there. Poseidon, Splash is really friggin' good. Depending on the aspect, of course. Um, Poseidon, is he better than Chaos? Ooh, that's tough. Is Poseidon better than Ares? In a boon sense, probably yes. In a character sense, I do like Poseidon. I think I liked him as a character more in Hades 1, but I still like him in Hades 2. In fact, yeah, he's pretty much about equal, and I like his personality. I like how he's like really uncle coded. I've always liked Poseidon's vibe. I like how he's carefree and silly, but also like pretty big, like huge ego, but like in a different way than Zeus does. Um, yeah, I like Poseidon. What can I say? But he's bottom of S tier. What's this guy's name again? Poker face. Prometheus. There we go. Prometheus. He's pretty. You know what I'm gonna say? He's pretty hot. And the fact that it's funny to me how like you beat him, and he'll always be like, "I knew that was gonna happen," or he'll be like, "I foresaw this outcome." Like, wrap it up, bro. He's such a sore loser. Or he's like trying to save his aura every time he loses by being like, "Yeah, I knew that was gonna happen, so whatever." Like, shut up, bro. But anyway, um, I like his character design. I like his boss fight. I do. I like the memory game. I don't like his bird, but not really in a bad game design way. I just he like the bird pisses me off, but I think the bird is supposed to piss you off, so it succeeds in that. I'm not saying we need to remove the bird from the game necessarily, but still, his bird pissed me off. But I like his fight more than most. I like his design. As a character, he's pretty cool. He's not better than Hecate though, but I'll say he's better than Demeter. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. Scylla, her songs are fire, but she's not better than Artemis. She's not better than Charon. Uh, man, it's tough. She's so bursting with life. When I think of Hades 2, I think of Scylla. I think of her personality. I think of the life she brings to the game. I think of her songs. I think of her fight. She is so iconic to the game. Yeah, I really like Scylla. I do. The songs are bangers. Her personality is fire. The fight is cool. It's one of the better fights in the game. And then when she goes all goth for her rivals fight, that's super sick too. And she writes a love song for Malinois. She starts falling in love with her, and like you're such a mess, that little dress. Like the way I don't know, she's always writing songs about Malinois. That's funny. Skill is awesome. She deserves her spot. Selene, she's beautiful, and the hexes are good. People think they're bad, and they're not always good. You'd have to invest in them a little bit, but they're good. I've always been a hex fan. Um, I like her voice actress a lot. I like her horsey. I like the moon. I like her role as like one of the Silver Sisters and her relationship with Malinois because of that. Moonlight guide you. Like the way she guides everybody. She's the moonlight that guides everybody. Yeah, she's awesome. Is she better than Artemis though? They're kind of tied. I guess. Okay, fine. She's better than Artemis, even though Artemis has a better character design and a better song that plays whenever you encounter her in a run. And whenever Artemis is singing, ooh, okay, never mind. Artemis is better. The fact that you can sing with Artemis, Moonlight Good, that puts Artemis over the edge for me. But I really like Selene. Is she better than Charon actually? Yeah, she talks. Karen doesn't talk. Sorry, Karen. But is she better than now? Ares? Fooey. Nope, sorry. She's down here. So, Karen, I love buying things. And Ares is better. Yeah. Selene's right here. She's right here. Mm, S is just so good. There's so many good scribbles in S. No, she can be better than Chaos. Hades 1 Chaos is better than Hades 2 Chaos. So in Hades 2, Selene is better than Chaos. Final answer. Scilamius, I really like him. He's still a great character, just like he was in Hades 1. Maybe I slightly prefer Hades 1 Scalamius to Hades 2, but not by much. I really like them both. Um, yeah. God. I mean, he lets you beat him up. He's funny. I said that Eris makes me laugh, right? Who did I say makes me laugh? Eris makes me laugh a lot too. But I feel like I said a different character also makes me laugh a lot. Skilla makes me laugh a lot. Poseidon does make me laugh sometimes too. Who else makes me laugh? Polyphemus. I don't know if he makes me laugh, but he makes me smile. Dionysus, his vibes, they can make me laugh. Um, laugh, 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 laugh. Dusa, she makes me giggle. That's what I was, or not Dusa. Dora, she makes me giggle too. So there are a few characters that make me giggle, and I would say Skelemius is up there as one of the more giggly characters, giggle-inducing. Okay, so for that reason, he's better than Poseidon, I guess, as a character. Yeah, yeah, I would say so. Typhon, really sick fight, really cool design. It was really rewarding to learn how to beat Typhon because it took me a few tries. It took me a few tries to beat Typhon, and it was very rewarding. And I prefer the surface to the underworld pretty handedly or handily. um, and a lot of that is because of Typhon at the end. I find him very easy now, actually, but more fun. He's the most fun fight in the game, I would say. Like boss fight or just fight in general. I love him. I love you. I love you, Typhon. And that first time I was fighting him and got him to half health, and Zeus comes in and bolts him with lightning. He's so sick. He as in Typhon, but also Zeus, but mostly Typhon. Is he better than Scylla? No. No, he's not as iconic as Scylla. He doesn't have the banger songs. I mean, he has his theme song, which is probably a banger. I don't really remember it, to be honest. Oh, wait, no, I remember it now. Yeah. But anyway, he's not bursting with personality like Scylla is, but he has a banger fight. Better than Scylla's fight, better than all the other fights. Better design than basically anything in the game. But he goes right here. No, Zeus. Zeus is pretty fire. I like Blitz. Blitz is obviously very good. But besides Blitz, like I don't find myself caring about his cast very much. Even though I think it is good, but I don't really find myself caring about it. Static Shock, that's the one where your attack spawns a lightning bolt, just like it does in Hades 1. That is cool. I do like that. Is he S tier? I think he is. Is he better than Poseidon? It's basically Blitz versus Splash, and I think I like Splash more. Yep, I think Poseidon wins. And then I'm pretty sure, I assume this is Narcissus, because I think this was the last character to get a sprite, right? Before the full release. But I mean, if it's in the Z's, maybe this is supposed to be Zagreus? But I don't think Zagreus ever appeared as this, did he? I don't know. I'm just going to assume this is Narcissus. And he's very pretty, even though you can't see it here. He's very beautiful. He's got like an Apollo kind of thing going on where he's like beautiful in like a kind of girly way, but still masculine. And I like his personality. He's not S tier. I don't know why I have him there. He's not better than. Is he better than Icarus? No. He's better than Cersei. Yeah. I like Narcissus. Whenever I see him, he's funny. He's I like the voice he has. He's like, I'm Narcissus. Hey Malinois. You want to be my suitor? Well, too bad. He's pretty funny in that way. Um yeah, I'll just put him right there. And I guess that's everything now. So take your screenshots, everybody. This is what Mason thinks about the characters in Hades 2. I'm almost positive nobody got this far into the video. I'm almost positive. It's been an hour 40 minutes, but hey, if you made it this far, then leave a freaking comment and let me know what you disagreed with. And let me take a drink of water. refreshing. I think maybe I'll record. I'm gonna stop the recording here, but I might record a run of Hades 2 soon. But I need to let my voice rest a little bit, and I'm probably gonna be talking less in that video than I am right now. It's gonna be like a chill little run. But yeah, I guess that's all. Is that all? I'm very unprofessional, I realize. Let me turn my controller back on. Let's see if there's anything else I wanted to talk about in this game. We talked about the Arcana. We talked about which gods I like the most. We talked about every character, every weapon, every Arcana. Had to wait for my controller to turn on there. Sorry. Talked about the keepsakes. Um,
Come join us here, goddess.
but no. Okay, we'll talk about some individual boons real quick, I guess, and hammers, maybe hammers. So bridal glow. Oh, that's the one that makes it so like whenever you pick it up, it increases. It sets one of your boons to heroic and gives it plus a few levels depending on whether bridal glow is common, rare. Wait, is it common, uncommon, rare, heroic? No, it's common, rare. What's the epic, heroic? There we go. Epic is the purple one. But anyway, it gives you plus level to, and so I pretty much always take it because it's always really fun to gamble on. And I have had it happen multiple times where at the beginning of a run, like I'll take, like let's say I'll have Aphrodite's keepsake on, I'll get Aphrodite, I'll take her attack, and then the next person I get is Hera, and then she gives me bridal glow. And so since I only have one boon being Aphrodite's attack, it's like a guaranteed hit on Aphrodite's attack, which is really good to get your main source of damage set all the way to heroic and plus a few levels just like that. So, but even if I see Bridal Glow later in the game, I'm still gonna gamble on it pretty much always. Maybe I shouldn't, but I always do. And then speaking of Aphrodite attack, Flutter Strike is tied for most used. Um, I love it. I love the huge damage you can get. I love doing it with the axe and especially with the skull. Um, yeah, I just love it. I love Aphrodite attack. I love Aphrodite. Quick buck, I'm pretty sure that's the one where you get like plus 20 or plus 30 or plus 40% gold for the whole run. And you also get 100 gold instantly. As you can see, it's tied for first place. I take that a lot because, like I said, I love my gold. And then spiritual affirmation, that's the one that gives you plus 25% max HP, right? And I think it gives you max mana too, plus 25% max mana as well. Or it's not always plus 25%, depends on the rarity, I think. But yeah, that's for me because I like getting a bunch of max HP. Now Blood Spree, I don't remember what that is. Let's see, what Blood Spree, I mean, I know it's Ares. Ares. Blood Spree, Blood Spree. Oh, yeah, this is the one. So if you can get this, like, at common, it's kind of mid, but at rare or epic, it's pretty darn good. And I've even gotten it heroic a few times, and that was plus 4 health. I think if you were using strength with this, it would, if you have like a fast attacking, something like the skulls or the torches, anything that isn't Nurgle, pretty much, this can definitely keep you alive at low HP, and I really like that. So I love Blood Spree. I always try to take it, and I often spend my Rarify on it. I think that's all I really care to talk about. Let's see, what are my lowest? I guess probably, yeah, like duos and legendaries. Yeah, meh. Let's go back to the top, shall we? Hard target. Nova Strike. So yeah, I do like Apollo for the strike pretty often. Buried treasure. That's also to get some extra money and for getting extra bones and stuff. Oh, my controller ran out of battery. Time to whip out the mouse. But I think we're just about to the end of this video anyway. Fetching array. That's the one, I think that's the one that makes it automatically return to you, which I do really like. And yeah, that's the only one I really care about talking about. So you can see I've started to use Chaos Keepsake more. It's getting high up there. And then all the God Keepsakes. I take Aphrodite's Keepsake more than any other keepsake. And in Luckier Tooth, I pretty much always used to take it for the Kronos and the Typhon fights. So that's why I've used it so many times. And you can see it gets me a lot of clears, so it works well for me, I guess. Moonbeam, yeah. Okay. Like I said, Moonbeam was my main for the beginning long while. Okay. I think I'm all out of stuff to talk about for now. For now. I'll like I said, I'll probably make another video about Hades 2. Or I just want to make more videos in general because it's nice to talk. Actually, it's not nice to talk. My throat hurts, but you know what I mean. Can you hear my chair creaking? I'm sorry about that. Anyway, maybe more videos coming soon. That's my point. Maybe more videos coming soon. And either way, thanks for watching. If you did watch this far, if you didn't watch this far, then screw you, because you can't hear me anyway, so screw you. Go to hell. But if you did, then shout out to you. Let me know in the comment if you made it this far. I would be interested to hear. Without further ado, see you soon, maybe. Bye.